This podcast is brought to you by Hoare Chartered Accountants. Hoare Chartered Accountants are based in Galway City and are a leading provider of audit, accountancy and taxation services. For more information, visit hoarecharteredaccountants.ie.
You're welcome along to the Maroon and White pod. So I'm delighted to be joined by former Galway footballer Seán Ó Domhnaill this evening. We're going to look back on Galway's draw against Kerry, and in fairness, some character shown by this Galway team, down by 11 points at one stage and looked to be in real trouble, but found a way and got the draw in the end, which they'll have to be happy with, getting a point against Kerry in Tralee and down a lot of bodies at the weekend. Did you think the draw was possible early on in that game, Sean?
I could be honest with you now, Paul, with about 15 minutes to go, and Pádraig himself said the same thing. No, because I knew how strong the wind was there, and it was mentioned a few times on the television about the game last year against Dublin, where Dublin was at 11 points down and we got the win in the end. And I have to admit, we didn't start well, but I have to put my hand up to all those lads that started and came on. An absolute tigerish display of never die. Down in the pitch in Tralee, which is very hard against, I say, fair dues again to all the supporters went down. It was a dirty night down there, and to show the support. And it just gives me great heart for what's ahead, like, because we saw what happened against Mayo, and I suppose there's a few alarm bells going off then. Then we saw, I suppose, the lads was come back against Armagh, and again, just about. But I thought the Kerry game was one where, especially the latter minutes, I just thought the last 10 minutes were, we wanted it more. Now, we did have a strong gale force wind, but this was a very good, strong Kerry team still, who had done well themselves now, what I call it, in the first match, but lost with the second team against Donegal. But I just thought that we showed great character, and I know we'll be mentioning players, but I thought like Maher and McGrath were outstanding. I thought Maher was the missing link, which we missed the last two games. Personally, myself, hearing that of his injury, I said if he gets 40 minutes down there, it'd be brilliant for us because we'll have him for maybe the next few games. But seeing him there till the end, and again, old Maher getting better as the game went on. I think he could have probably ran home if he wanted to, really, because he's such a warrior. And that goal summed him up, where he kept there on the shoulder, McGrath, and pointing, and what a finish. So it's just one of those things, I suppose, when you think of these young players we have at the moment who wouldn't have got a chance before, because if we had the stars of, look who was missing, McDade, Darcy, Shane Welch, these guys weren't down to play. And then because of that, we have the likes of McGrath, we have the Finn McDonoughs, we have the Oisin McDonaghas, who probably, and you can't blame managers like Pádraig Joyce was saying, you'd always go with the experience because you need to win. And these guys are getting game time. Like Finian Olai coming on, I thought it had a huge influence on the game. But it's great to see, and it's giving Pádraig and the management team, I suppose, great thought. What's the only thing I'm seeing this is the competition for places on this team is huge, which is great. And that's what Galway would give you confidence in the championship, that there is nearly two players for every position now at this moment in time.
Is the most impressive aspect, Sean, if you look at the team, and say, for instance, you look at the team that's named, and then a few late changes come in. Ryan Roach comes into the team, Brian Cogger comes into the team, Cian Hernan. We obviously lose Sean Fitzgerald there, and Liam Silk. Is that the most impressive aspect? We obviously have injuries, but Galway were forced to go deeper and deeper into the squad, and it was all this, I suppose, new blood just bringing the energy on Saturday evening.
Well, you got to think, before we even played Mayo in the league, and you just named that team, like even McGrath in goal, like we wouldn't have named 3 or 4 of those players that would be starting down in Tralee against Kerry, the All-Ireland champions. And not only that, but as we saw the game, this wasn't a tit-for-tat game. As you said, they were 10 points down with about 14 minutes to go, where many other team would have just kind of, put in a good position. We actually, if there's another 5 minutes, we would have won it. And I thought there was a decision there by the referee, Falloon from down, that it was the Galway ball. Remember, I think the boys I know who was for Kerry, cornered him in, and he gave him the free out, which I thought was a bit harsh. Maybe it was a hometown ref. Now, I give him respect as well, because he let the game go, which I thought was absolutely, I love northern refs, because that's what they see up north. Let the game go, take the hits. If that was a referee now from Kerry or Cork, it'd be stop go every 5 minutes. So it was great to see. There was a tough, you could see there was bite in it. There wasn't any love in that game, and it was a great competition. But again, the lads were calling like, I mean, we're looking like, you know, I mean, Mulhern. No, again, it's funny because the game against Mayo, he was outstanding, and probably it wasn't one of his, say, his high level games. But the guy is getting now minutes into his legs at county level against serious opposition, which will only stand to him as the championship comes on. And a great footballer, and a guy that played an under-20 match as well on the weekend before that as well. So these are the guys you want to see playing well. Like, who'd have thought Rob Flaherty was kept scoreless? And again, you got to give fair dues to the Kerry defence. They saw him as a danger. He didn't get a sniff. And then we still go on. But then again, we kept Seán O'Shea scoreless as well to give him a sniff. I thought they did a great job on Clifford. Like, the guy he only got 6 balls and scored like 1-5 or 1-6. That's the difference with him. Like, he's so dangerous. But I have to admit, the game management of the game, the substitutions, the time they came on were outstanding, and it worked to us. Very, very good.
You look at it early on, someone you mentioned there, Eamon McGrath, obviously unfortunate he makes a mistake.
I just thought it was a great performance for a guy that's first outing. He did one mistake, and we call it a mistake. High ball coming in, wet, greasy ball, wind in your face, and the ball dropped. And the most lethal forward ever produced was so quick. He was like something like Ronaldo or Messi in soccer, just poached it in. Not many forwards could do that. That was his only mistake. I thought his kickouts were outstanding, especially in the second half. He was pinning out, and I just hope that Pádraig gives this guy more minutes on the pitch, because I think he's someone for the future. I think he's someone maybe in the near future, even closer again, because I think he has the attributes. I think he did pull off 2 or 3 great saves, point blank. And I just thought, you got to understand, gale force wind coming into your face and a strong wind, and you see, as I say, David Clifford in front of you. I don't blame him for dropping that ball.
Obviously we mentioned the start. Obviously not ideal.
No.
Obviously Kerry took control of this game. But in fairness, to get back into that game 11 points down away from home in Tralee is. Do you feel? I know it's early in the year and there's no point in getting too excited yet, but is this maybe already showing something different about this Galway team compared to previous years?
I think we need to look in perspective of the game itself. It was in really, really bad conditions. Gale force wind. We're Weathersfield and Pearse Stadium. The old cliche, a game of 2 halves. And that's what it was. Kerry showed their skill. I think it took us a while to get to the into the conditions itself. Don't forget, those lads have been on the pitch probably 10, 15 minutes before the game even turned. You could see that the jerseys were saturated. It was cold and wet. And again, home pitch, home support. But to me, it really was, and I'm not putting, we won the game in the last 10, well, I would say we won it. We drew the game, but I saw it as a win the last 10, 15 minutes. But the other 45 to 50 minutes before that, we kept in it. Like, I thought Matthew Tierney was outstanding in the first half, where I find that lad, and I always call class players, when, excuse the language, the shit hits the fan, when things aren't going well, class will always stand up. And I thought he was outstanding. That goal he got was pure class. If David Clifford got that goal, or just whoever we can call the top class forwards at the moment, if Shane Welch got it, we'd be saying, unbelievable, how do you do it? He got that goal in the corner. He got a point before that. He kept battling away. And that was the difference. We went in half time with a chance because of him. We could have only had 2 or 3 points at half time. We went in there at that stage. So I just thought he was outstanding. Now, I think we mentioned Cogger came off early. There was a lot of damage being done down that wing. Was it his fault? I don't think so. It was just there was pressure coming down that wing. Again, I thought Hernan was very good on that other side there. Glynn, McGrath did very well. So it's one of those things, we just stayed in it. And they'll always tell you the cliche of any sport. If you're in it to the end, you have a chance. And you can see them coming off. Kerry kept us on the pitch a bit longer as well. They were long enough coming out. I think it was even said that was a tactic to keep us out in the cold and the wet a bit longer. But it didn't work, and it took us 10 minutes to get going. But again, I thought Maher was outstanding. I just thought that he showed the leadership. He showed his captaincy this year. He just took that script. He put in 1 or 2 hits there as well against the Kerry boys. And I just thought that really just showed. And you could see the younger lads around him, the spirits and the chest went out. And that's what I thought was brilliant. Like, and I mentioned Fanil Lai too, come on, started running at them. We got chances. That was it. And we put pressure on their kickouts. We started breaking out. Again, I'd like to see winning more clean possession, which is hard. but I thought it was an outstanding display.
If we look at the scores overall, Matthew Tierney 1-4, 1 2-point free, Shane McGrath 5 points, 2 2-pointers, Keane Hernan a goal, John Mayer a goal, Ushie McDonough 2 points, 1 2-pointer, Finian O'Lee, Daniel O'Flaherty, Dylan McHugh, point each. All three of those players introduced. Have to be happy enough, I presume, Porrick there with the spread overall of those scores.
Well, if you scored 3-14 against Kerry any day, it's a huge score. Like, I mean, you correct there. The spread was out there. We left a lot behind us as well. Like, there was a good few chances there, dropped into the keeper, wrong decision making. Like, it wasn't a class performance for 17 minutes, and every manager will love that because they know they can work on a lot of mistakes. But again, the spread was lovely to see. Like, you think about Kerry, like Clifford scored 1-6, Evans 1-2, Tran 3 points, Burns, but they kept the big ones. Shonny O'Shea and these guys scores was good. And we mentioned earlier, like, I mean, Rob Flaherty didn't score at all. He's the guy who usually gets to 5 or 6 points. So when you see the likes of those players like of the class of Rob Flaherty and All-Star not scoring and the other lads around them coming in, it's a great thing to see. And the players that are coming back too, the guys, as I said, Darcy not being able to play, Shane Welch not able to play, and hopefully we'll see what happens now against Roscommon. But there will be changes to that team against Roscommon as well, which is at home. But it's one of those things I just thought it was a great performance the last 15 minutes, and that's what we wanted to see. How many times have we seen Galway collapse in the last 10, 15 minutes? It was great to see the opposite.
Is the only concern, I know I say the spread there is impressive, but is the only concern Rob Finnerty doesn't score as we mentioned, and obviously he's been one of our top scorers on form, so maybe you can expect that obviously with the defenders Kerry have. But then you look, Fionn McDonough doesn't score and Ushie McDonough gets 2 points. Two point return from our full forward line.
Yeah, but if you look, I don't know the assist, the lovely word now we've got about the soccer assists, but I thought Rob was on the ball a lot and bringing players into it on the loop. He was on a lot. He was playing a lot outside the arc, especially in the second half. He was on the arc and he was bringing players. And his name now, he's attracting two defenders because they know he's kind of a lazy kind of swivel turn and he kind of gets the shot. So he was pulling two. I thought Phil in the first half played very, very well. He did a lot of damage on the inside. He was showing and they kept him. And that's what happens with great players, playing well. I thought Oisín scored a great 2 point, Oisín Mottunha from Letsamore. And I think he kind of probably look back in now, he had another two chances where he probably said, I should have taken that opportunity. But this is what you want. The growing starter, then what really come through this. I suppose Mulhern was quiet in that scenario. But you think of the guys who scored and the guys that came on, and that's what you want. The substitutes coming on, knowing they can scoring, what they can do. And that's like Liam O'Connell, another guy that can score from Spittle. So again, it showed you, I thought that's what you want. There's no such thing as a 15-man team anymore. It's a 30-man team. The guys coming on are as good as the guys coming off, and that's what you want to see.
What do you think I know it's only a draw, but what do you think this result can do for Galway's season?
I have to admit, when I saw the defeat against Mayo, I was worried. I really was, and we hear about the injuries. I think, again, only for Galway is to stay in Division 1. Being honest with you, that's the thing. And
do you not think we should be going?
Keep us there.
Do you not think we should be going after a league title?
100%. Like 83, the last time we won a league title. Of course, and Porrick wants to win one too, And last year was a great opportunity. We could have relegated Kerry and got to a league final and we lost. So that was really disappointing as well on last year. We have to. You look at Jim McGuinness now in Donegal. All focus is on winning the league. They're taking a leaf out of Jack O'Connor's thing is where you win the league, you'll win the All-Ireland. That's where they look at it. But then Jack didn't have all these clubs and he didn't have the Gaeltacht and he didn't have Dingle in club finals, or he's losing players where he had them last year. Galway have an opportunity now with so many injuries with these young players to go for it. It's in our situation. You've got to think if you told me we'd have 3 points after the first 3 games, I'd said we'd take it. Now you'd expect them, this is my worry, we expect them to get results against Roscommon, Monaghan and Dublin. We should get 4 points out of those 3. 7 points should get you near enough there, because they're taken away from each other. So I would expect us to be in the running for a league final place. I would expect us at this stage with the guys coming back and how we're playing. Now we do have a bit of travelling to do yet. We still have to go to Donegal. We still have to go to Monaghan. So there's a bit of travelling, but we won't fear them. And I tell you now, there's a lot of coaches at the moment for the opposition looking at this Galway team, and they don't know what's coming at them because we're doing so many changes and the guys coming on are as good as good. So we had that surprise factor where before we were easily read. We knew the players that were starting and how to play against them.
In saying that, I know Matt Dade and Shane obviously picked up injuries and be hoping to have them back soon. You'd obviously like to see Cian Darcy. We obviously don't really know where John Daly and Damien Comer are at. Obviously missing Sean Fitzgerald as well, along with Liam Silk. They will want to get more and more of these players back on the pitch, even as good as the squad is going at the minute.
We have to, Paul, because it's not like long ago when I was playing, there was a big gap between the championship and the league. The league is over and the championship starts the next week in Ulster. So you've no delay. You're whatever team you're finishing with in the league, you're nearly saying that's going to be your starting championship team. You know what I mean? Because you're out again in 2 or 3 weeks. So we need to get these players back. I would have a question mark. We have a lot of injuries. A lot of injuries and a lot of players where you look at the other panels of other teams, they don't seem to have as much. Now, is that the training? Is what's going on? I don't know. And I'm even putting it out there. I don't know but I would worry about these players. We need these guys nice and fresh for the end of the league and the championship. And you'd worry about players and McCluskey from Tuam, another guy. I mean, you probably would. McGlinchey, sorry. He would be probably a starter the last day if he wasn't injured again. And love to see that guy get a good few minutes under the belt because I think it's a serious talent. Again, like we're naming a lot of players that you'd be looking at starters come championship. So hopefully these guys take the time if they need it, do a full recovery, but we don't have time and they don't have time because you don't have the time to if you miss 3 or 4 weeks now, county championship, you're playing catch up. Now, I heard the big word that we all heard, I heard the week before, that Paul Conroy is back in the panel.
Yeah. How much of a lift is it?
It's a huge. I'd say for the younger players and the older players won't make a difference because they know him for so long. You know that kind of way. The younger players, like the guys we're mentioning, a huge lift. A guy of his stature, his experience. I don't know in there what he's like in there, being personally now, but I say he's a player that would bring on the younger lads. You know that kind of way. You talk to them. Do I see him starting for Galway in the championship? I doubt it. And this is nothing disrespectful for the man because he's got nothing to prove to anybody. But I see him, and when you see the likes of Michael Murphy, I see that being his role as, think about it, us as supporters in Croke Park and an All-Ireland quarterfinal, semi-final, or final, last 15 minutes seeing Paul Conroy coming on. Now, would that do nothing but lift your heart and give you confidence of this team to go on and win? So that's what I think his role will be because you need players with that experience to come on. Starting, the game is so quick with these new rules. It's just non-stop. And the problem with it is the head is 100%, but I said the legs will have a while to catch up with,
Would you look at Paul Conroy as a forward now?
Yes. Big time. Now, the way the game is, and it did before, if you had the Darcy and the Mahers and these guys around him, the way they play the game, it could suit him. He could have around the middle. He's a bit of a playmaker as well. He's that kind of guy that pulls the strings. So you have 2 options with him as well. Like putting him in corner forward, full forward. You know what I mean? It's not easy in there too because there's so much space there now with the 3-man full forward line. You know what I mean? That extra yard isn't there. So Paul's he's a smart guy. He knows his football. Pádraig and the boys hopefully know the exact same thing and that he's utilised the best. And I think that's his way around. Again, I like seeing him as the puppeteer. You know what I mean? Pulling the strings, laying the ball into the guys, the swift, clean ball in, and that's what he's able to do better than anybody.
How many years do you think Paul Conroy has played intercounty football?
He's at least at the moment, that I was a selector on him in 2010, so he's gone past 16 anyway, isn't he?
19.
He's 19, yeah. It's unbelievable. And you think of how the football is evolved in the last 10 years. It's just the guy deserves so much credit for looking after himself. And we mustn't forget, he had some bad years at the start. Barren years, never winning in Croke Park and still showing the commitment and the thing. And he's a bit like a bottle of wine. He improved with age as well, I thought, where maybe the experience and improving the players like. But again, I have to keep saying he's got nothing to prove to Galway football. And that would be my only worry for him. that, the way we all want to keep playing, and you can't keep playing at that high level that he did when he won his All-Star and Player of the Year. But I think he does have a role in Galway football, being that guy like Michael Murphy. Like, Michael Murphy will never start for Donegal. I can't see it happening because when you bring him on, you saw what he does. He comes on the last 10 minutes. It's as good as a score, and it's as good as and he's able to control the game, get the ball to him. Like,
Yeah, and obviously they mentioned after the game, well, it actually became aware on the Galway GA clips where the players enter into the pitch. It was actually Mark Brosnan. He mentioned it a few weeks ago on the Irish Examiner podcast, and he spotted it on X on Saturday evening. Raymond Galligan, former Cavan manager, former Cavan footballer, um,
goalkeeper,
yeah, goalkeeper as well.
All-Star.
Yeah, he is joined the backroom team. What's your thoughts on this? Because obviously the rumor mill was, I suppose, you were hearing every sort of name who was actually going to replace John Divley in the off season, and it sort of came to a stage where maybe you had to stop believing what you were hearing around them. But it looks like Raymond Galligan sort of came in, and he's obviously replacing John Divley in the backroom team there. Interesting when he talks last night, it was hard to sort of figure out what his actual role is.
When he gave the role, when he was asked, was he a goalkeeper coach? He said, "No, I'm coaching the players, I'm coaching the goalkeeper, and I'm also coaching management." So he covered himself very well. He gave nothing away last night. You kind of query, why was he there? Because he wasn't saying anything really. But he's got experience. He's a young man, what do you call like that? He was, don't forget, the last time they won Ulster during COVID, he was the manager. I think there would be a Mickey Graham connection there as
No,
well.
he was a player back then. Mickey Graham was the manager.
You see, I was saying there would be a connection there.
Yeah.
Also, the jury's out, I suppose, Paul, because we don't know.
Yeah.
They said he's been there he was there for the game against Armagh. He was there for the game against Down against Tralee. We saw that coming in. I haven't heard any feedback from the players, and I don't expect to see regarding that because it's too early yet.
Yeah.
He's got big shoes to fill. Divo was, was very, very well liked, very, very intelligent selector there with Pádraig. But it's kind of strange, these guys, you hear that they don't have much time to be with their own teams and they end up with Galway. So, but again, they probably see when you come to Galway, there is a chance of an All-Ireland. And you look at that panel of players, and that's what probably gives you. They know they're not going to get it with their own home counties. So you look at it, and look at them all. When you see around Kerry have done it, Mayo have done it. They're bringing outside guys who are managers, bring them in as coaches, that kind of way. So it's nothing new. It's nothing new. And we'll see in the next, I say by the end of the league, how effective it is. So like everything else, the jury's out. I wish him the best. I hope he brings the experience. He didn't give much away in his chat on the. It's strange to see him on that, actually up for the match as well. But what he said, he was coaching. We maybe thought he was a goalkeeper coach. He said no. Lloyd's probably still there. He said he's a selector, but he also said he's with the management. So we'll see what the story is.
Yeah, I suppose you're probably looking from a management perspective for maybe him to bring that bit of freshness in of this year as well.
Yeah, again, I like maybe see them more on the sideline. You see the likes of Ciaráin O'Neill's on the sideline as a coach beside Pádraig. Nothing in Scan as a selector, but I like like to see maybe a change. Maybe these guys, I know they have the earpieces and they're up on the stand. I love seeing a coach on the sideline with the manager doing the moves and all that stuff. I think it's very important that they can have that conversation. I saw a close hand last year with Kerry, and I saw how Ciaráin O'Neill and Jack were working side by side. It was Ciaráin that was doing all the decision making. So again, with this, I like to see maybe on that scenario if it's possible. But listen, if it's not broken, don't fix it. But I like to see that if possible. But Mikey Graham as well is keeping very quiet. You don't hear much of him as a coach. That kind of way. What's going on? It really must be these young lads. It must be working well because I suppose it's very important for young lads to get coached. Very important.
Yeah.
And we heard Pádraig saying about Bob McGrath there. We're saying that he was there 2 years ago and he was released to come back and strengthen up, and how he's improved with Dunmore. And you can see that with his club. And it was great to see him. We saw him against Armagh when he won that ball, and he was just a brightness, the way he brought the game to Kerry. You thought he was playing for that 10 years. And we keep forgetting this is against a Kerry All-Ireland winning team and running through them and taking that decision to go for those two-pointers, especially the latter one at the end, the way he steadied himself. Like, again, I keep saying if it was anyone else taking, they'd be screaming, saying, what a score. And he just, the way he steadied himself up to take it, he showed maturity past his years, which is great to see. And hopefully now with Galway, he just continues on and he just grows into this position and this player that he is, because he's a huge find and it's great to see for Galway. Great for the supporters of Dunmore.
Can Galway win the All Ireland?
I was looking at that, and I think we had this conversation going back, and I was going to say no, but then you kind of analyze, you kind of look at the league and the teams, and you look at the North, and really, I find those teams have taken a step back. Donegal, they wouldn't frighten me. I don't think they have any all-out forward that you need to win All Irelands. Like, I mean, the guys are going to get you. O'Donnell played well the last day, got 1-4, 1-5. He's not all forward. You look at Tyrone on the way back. They're going backwards. Derry going backwards. So you look at this, Monaghan are going backwards, Cavan are going backwards. Then you look down in Munster, there's only Kerry. Cork just about took their legs with them against Offaly. Still a big score, but you'd worry. Like, again, on the day, it's 50-50. Leinster, it's just Meath and Louth. Dubliners. So you look at that now. Connacht, to me, looks like the strongest province. You look at Mayo, Galway, and Roscommon, and we'll see how good Roscommon, when the British guys, will they be back? So I look at, can we win All Ireland? If we get everybody back, and we start playing the attractive football and the competition in there, we have a good chance, Paul. And that's based on the other teams as well. What I'm saying is, like, it won't be easy, but I think if everything goes away in a bit of luck, we have a chance. But we need to get everybody back, and everybody, good competition in the team. That's what you want, that if the likes of Shane Welch isn't going well, that the likes of a player that can come on, and we've seen these guys, that's what you see, and they're there at the moment.
Just on it then, Roscommon obviously coming up this weekend. No point in saying otherwise. Turnaround's probably going to be a challenge considering the game got themselves through against Kerry. It was wet, it was windy, the conditions they played in there. They're going to be challenging on the bodies there, no doubt. This turnaround is obviously, and the intensity of that game is obviously going to be a challenge for them coming up this weekend. And with the form Roscommon are in too, it's going to be another tough battle here.
It is, like, but we are, like, you've got to tell your listeners, and they understand this. Like, I mean, I'd prefer to have a game the next week, because usually the week up to it was a bit lighter training. You're the ones that are playing, because if you knew there was a week off, this week would have been a heavy week. So they know they're going to have to keep them fresh. They travel down that day, Saturday, down to Tralee. They left early, back again. So it's mostly recovery. To my knowledge, we didn't pick up any injuries. To my knowledge, during the match, I didn't hear anything. Hoping we're talking about the players that were lost, maybe they will be available. Now, this Roscommon team would have been seen as probably favourites with Monaghan to get relegated. And they've shown over the last 2 weeks serious football. Like, you know, they were robbed against Kerry. They bet Monaghan. They beaten, like, an Armagh team. They won that game. That day was a 2-4 in the first 10 minutes. It was outstanding. We look at the likes of Murtagh. We look at Inda Smith. We look like Craig. And don't forget, they're still missing the Bridget's lads. They were a serious team, and going back over the years, Roscommon love coming to Pearse Stadium. You know what I mean? Like that. And I always worry on that again. And we talked about Tralee and the bad weather. Good chance it's going to be like that in the stadium as well. Like, but again, this will not be an easy game. Roscommon are coming down here, and I tell you, they're coming down with confidence against this Galway team, because they've had a big win themselves. So it's a great game of football for the Spurs, and I'd be telling everyone to get out there and to go to this match, because I think it's going to be a classic, because you have two teams that will go for it to win. This tactics will go out the window. We don't play defensive, we go for it. And that's what I love about these two managers like Mark Dowd and PJ. It's who scores the most wins, and that's where they go. Now, Roscommon showed they punished the kick out. Any mistake that Armagh did, they punished them. So whoever's in goal at McGrath, he'll know he'll have to keep things clean. The whole idea, don't marry what's been said about those clay pots, the likes of before on the RT, and like, don't mind them, do your own thing. And they're long enough in the game, play the game themselves. But I'm looking forward to it. This is what's going to make or break either Galway or Roscommon, I think. The winner goes on, the loser will be in relegation.
Yeah, even if Galway, say, weren't to get a result, to be on 3 points then after 4 games, you're probably looking more so down the table than.
Oh, you are. Now, they will have, as I say, they would have Monaghan and Dublin to arrive yet to us. But again, a lot of these teams will have players coming back from injuries, stuff like that too. So there's nothing guaranteed either. But if we look at this game, to win this, we're up to 5 points. You're looking then at a scenario where another 2 wins out of the 3, you're in the league semi-final.
Would you change it up for Galway much this weekend?
It's a hard one to call, Paul, because we don't know. We'd always know. I love to see McDaid playing. I love to see Darcy playing. And this is the problem. I love to see Kelly probably playing full back now. I watch him in the games, and I kind of feel sorry for him, the scenario where what's his position? He's covering every blade of grass. He's not a midfielder. I don't call him a midfielder, full stop. That's not his position. He plays there for his club, I know, but he gets away with it there. But I don't. He's not a county midfielder. Serious athlete, serious footballer. But I love to see him pin down a position on the field. Is he a half back or somewhere? I think he's more a 5 or a 7 than he would be in the full back line, maybe there. I don't know. I'd love to see that kind of sorted, but he seems to be different position every week. Maher back into midfield with Tierney. That's an obvious one there. I love to see McDaid being fit again. The guys it's kind of hard to say, what would you change up? The way we played I like to see Olai starting. He was unlucky against Armagh. He got injured. I think he brings a lot to this team. Kind of a running game, he changes it around. I think the forwards like him because he attracts defenders out on him and leaves space inside. I like to see McGrath start again in goal. I think that guy needs just minutes in goal. I think this game against Roscommon might suit him better because it'll be more open. But it's a hard one to call. We named so many players there, like Shane Welch and these guys coming back, but it won't be a huge difference. But the problem is every team that Park's named, there's been 3 changes by the time the team that starts. Be it injury or just that's the way it is.
How do you see it going?
It's a hard one to call. It's one of those things. If it was up in the Hyde, I'd say Galway would win it. That's the funny thing about it. The high pitches, they put a new surface. It looks absolutely like a golf course. And I think that would suit Galway football. Again, you look at the conditions. You could have said before that Galway would like to play in better conditions. We've done our best football in rough, windy conditions. So I could see Galway scraping it by 1 or 2 points.
Yeah.
And it'll come down to, again, who does the least mistakes. Simple as that. We can't give Roscommon the start they did against Armagh. They had 2-4 after 10 minutes. Like, that game was won the first 10 minutes. And do that. Again, the same scenario. I think McGeeney came up around the midfield battle, giving out about it. Midfield is midfield, win clean possession. That's it. A bit tigerish down the middle. So that's where it's going. I could see Galway winning this by 1 or 2, but it's a hard one to call because I know Roscommon are coming down with high hopes.
Yeah, and they're coming with confidence, which is dangerous.
Again, they're missing a lot of players too, and there's a lot of those lads. They're trying to tell Mark Dowd, I want you to pick me for the championship now when the Bridget's guys come back. So he's giving themselves, they're putting themselves on the shop front, and they're doing a good job.
Yeah, particularly I suppose the way it is. Sorry, with say Galway having this game at home, obviously losing to Mayo. There's obviously an emphasis too now to, I suppose, win this home game.
Yes, because we saw at the start of the year when the draw was done, a lot of mileage, a lot of the teams were playing away, and I suppose when you saw we had Mayo, we were lost. Now this one was common. We need to win the home games, full stop. And again, for the players, being able to stay in their own beds overnight, kind of that way, less traveling, supporters, and that's what you want. You know what I mean? We want to see a full Pearse Stadium, and there will be a serious atmosphere here. So hopefully, we need to win it, and that's really it. Pádraic knows that. This is not like Kerry, Donegal last year, kind of pulling the handbrake at the end. You know, that kind of way championship. And that won't happen this year either. We need to go full throttle, try everything going. And if you guys get injured, there's guys coming behind them will take your position.
You mentioned there about Kieran McGeeney's comments about the midfield and what it's became at the minute. Would you have liked to play football under these new rules with the way it's became a midfield?
Well, I kind of call it's kind of come full circle. Again, I suppose you'd need the training of today to keep up with the pace of what was going on. But it's funny, it's come back to where prime possession is now. Short kick that's gone. It's out around the middle, clean catching, the tap and go. you could only for a big guy love it, because it's bringing that art of high fielding again as well, that physicality around the middle. You see it, the hard shoulders are going in, the elbows are going out. It's a beautiful game to watch again, which is coming back, that physicality. Now we saw anyone that saw the game as well against Louth and Meath, like the 4 black cards after like 10 seconds. That's where it's going. You need that bite. That's what we love about the game. Like, I mean, I can't even watch hurling anymore. It's just gone. I hate, who would have thought it's gone boring, And where I love the football is it's just to the group that brought it back. Like, I just thought it's a game that we love. The 2-pointer, like, think about it. Going back 5 years ago, you're 10 points down. You wouldn't even come out on the pitch. Game's over.
Yeah.
Like, you could be 6 points down with 3 minutes to go, and you say that's only 3 scores. You know what I mean? Like that, we can win this game. So that's why it's a great game, and that's what I'm saying is the movement, the three-man full forward line, the defending, it's just made the game so more exciting to watch. And you can see it. The numbers are up. The atmosphere is up. It's just brilliant. I have to admit now, I thought the Donegal Mayo game was a bit boring. But again, I think that was the caginess. But the Galway Kerry game, the conditions were just excellent. I mean, excellent as a game of football. It had everything.
Just before we finish, who's your favourite footballer to watch at the minute?
Oh, Jakers. Jesus, that's a strange one. I have to admit, and I'm only saying it that I love, and listen, as a Galway man, I love seeing Maher. I just think he's, how would I say now, he's no David Clifford, right? That kind of scenario, or Conor Glass, that kind of way. He's just, I don't want to say something else because they're disrespectful, because I don't want to be disrespectful to the guy, because I love his storyline coming to Salthill. No one ever heard of him coming through and making this Galway team on heart, grit, work rate, living off his strengths, which is a pure engine. Like he's just unbelievable. Like he just never stop. And then when he got injured, and you could see how valuable he was to Salthill when he was missing from them. Like they didn't win a county final because he was missing. Simple as that. And then when I saw him there the last day, and I was saying, "Oh, is he too early? What's the story?" And then he was the difference. Like he's the reason we won the game, I thought. You know what I mean? It just see him at the end. So I love his style of football, because he gives players underage who love watching the David Cliffords, who love watching the Con O'Callaghan's, that absolute artistry of football. But you look at the likes of this player who's just pure heart and grit, and kind of from, as I say, from the socks up, just wants to win the game, whatever. And that's what I love about him, really. And that's what I mean. For any young lad starting off, it just shows you don't need to be the most skillful player on the pitch. But if you got heart and you want it more, you can do it. And he's proven that, and his All-Star's proven that.
Yeah, his return from the injury is just unbelievable.
Yeah, and that's just mind over matter in his heart, because a lot of other guys, I mean, with that injury, he should be out for another few months easily.
Yeah. I'd say obviously itching to get back to after being announced as captain. You want to be back on the pitch.
Yeah, and again, big decision by Pádraig to name him there after what do you call it, Sean Kelly being there for the last 4 or 5 years. But again, big decision. I think I love seeing. I always called, there was 2 types of captains you could have had: the guy that does it on the pitch, and the guy that does the talking in the dressing room. Maher's a guy on the pitch. He leads by example. And if you're there, be a young lad or an older guy, and you see that guy, that goal summed it up. He wanted a goal. He orchestrated that goal. And afterwards, he wasn't celebrating. He was, get out again. Let's win this ball again. And like, what more could you want? Isn't he just a dream to manage a player like that? Where, you mean, just, he wants him. He's, remember last year, the blocks on the side, on the in line, running up the field. Like, he's just dogged. That's what you want, a pure dogger. And again, this is not being disrespectful to the player. You know what I mean? I just think it's an art he has. Not many players had it. David Clifford couldn't do that, what he's doing. So trust me, it's an art.
Yeah. Great stuff, Seán. Thanks very much for your time this evening.
No problem, Paul.
This episode is sponsored by DroneWorks Ireland, your go-to place when it comes to buying a drone, repairing a drone, and also when you need professionals to carry out any aerial work you may need. Check out their website at www.droneworksireland.ie.
In part 2 of the show, I'm delighted to be joined by former Roscommon footballer Ciaráin Murtagh. Ciaráin, I obviously say former there for yourself, and you've obviously stepped away from Roscommon this year. Going back to that decision, was it a tough decision for yourself?
I suppose the final decision is always fairly tough, Paul. But I kind of resigned to the fact. I'd say late on in last year and even through the club championship, I was kind of always thinking about it as well. So I suppose when you finally ring the chairman and tell him you're actually finishing up, it is a bit surreal. But yeah, as I said, I kind of thought about it for a long time, and once it's done, it's done. And look, you're looking forward to still watching games and going to games and analysing them and different things like that. But yeah, it's kind of strange not being around the panel, I suppose, when you're watching the league games now.
Is it different when you step away? Obviously, your brother Dermot's still involved in there. Does that sort of make it different now since you've stepped away and he's still in there?
Yeah, it probably is a little bit different because you're still keeping an eye on the results and you still want to know how he's doing and you want to know how the rest of the lads are doing. But I'm obviously still giving him that space and not asking him the awkward questions of who's starting and who's injured and different things like that. But probably the fact that he's there is probably means that I have a huge interest in it and I really want them to do really, really well. And also then keeping an eye on everything away from the game as well, just seeing how he is and how he's training and different things like that, and trying to find out different things about the management and players that are in and new players and different things like that. So it's nice still having that link there as well to find out a bit of information, even though he doesn't give me much. But yeah, obviously I'd be hoping he does really well personally. But obviously still looking out for the lads as well and making sure that they're getting the results.
Have you been able to go to games?
I have, yeah, yeah. I've been able to. I would have preferred to get to them all, but I'm living up in Dublin, so it's a little bit trickier to get to some of the games. But I hope to get to a lot more now as the season progresses as well.
Has it been a comfortable experience there, or how's it been watching them?
It's harder. It's a lot harder to watch them, Paul. To be honest, I prefer to be playing because at least then you can do something about it. But I suppose when you've stepped away from it now, I can kind of look at different things and look at teams and how they're playing and how different players are playing as well. And I suppose still trying to learn a little bit myself, because I'm obviously still playing at my club and stuff. But hopefully down the line, I want to go into a bit of coaching as well. So kind of looking at how teams are setting up with the new rules and stuff like that. So you're getting a different insight into the game. But it's easier being on the pitch, I think, than being on the sideline and listening to people giving out and all that sort of stuff that goes with it. But no, I'm enjoying the aspect of actually looking in and I suppose not the pressure of training and the pressure of game day as well. So it's nice, yeah.
What was the main reason you say yourself why you did decide to retire for 2026 season?
Well, I knew I had a serious enough groin injury, so I've osteitis pubis at the moment. So I knew there was going to be a lot of rehab into that, and I wouldn't have been able to give it 100% this early on in the year. And I suppose the fact that I wouldn't have been able to go back for pre-season and put a good pre-season in. I knew I'd always be playing catch up. And then it just felt like myself. I just personally didn't feel I had the drive to give it 100%, which is kind of hard enough to say, but. I soldiered for a good few years, and I was happy enough with my career and just picking up little niggles and different things like that. And obviously, this one was a little bit longer of a rehab process as well. So that was probably where my ultimate decision came from, I'd say.
It's a tricky injury, I imagine.
Yeah, it is. Like, and obviously, I'll be able to come back from it and different things like that. But I would have missed the last two games and probably would have missed the next three and maybe the whole league as well. And it'd be frustrating for myself because I'm kind of a fella when I'm in something, I'm all into it. And I hate the kind of aspect of missing training and rehabbing in the gym and different things like that, or not being around the panel. So, yeah, I kind of came to the decision where, look, just it's time to step away, I think, now and let the younger lads step up.
You're obviously looking on at the minute, and even after the result at the weekend against Armagh, the first day against Kerry, getting so close, and a win against Monaghan as well. Like it's been really a dream start for them, hasn't it?
It has, yeah, and I said to another man that I was talking to that probably to get the All Ireland champions in the first game is probably the best time to get them as well, because you're thinking that they mightn't have a full panel or they might have went back training a bit later. But um, Kerry went with a fairly strong outfit, and not many people would have given Roscommon much of a chance when they were going down to Kerry for that game either. But I'd say the lads were quietly confident going down that they trained fairly hard and probably had a little bit more work done than Kerry. And I suppose midway through the second half or early on in the game, you probably thought like the game was going to drift away from them. But to claw it back, and that's one thing that really impressed me is usually over the last few years when we go a few points down or maybe 7, 8 points down, the game would just gradually drift away from us and you'd end up getting a hammering then. And I was just happy to see the way the lads clawed that game back, and it actually looked like they were going to win it in the last few minutes. And then to back it up again against Monaghan in the second league game, that was huge. To just show that it wasn't a flash in the pan going down to Kerry and giving that performance. And then again against Armagh last day as well, they backed it up again. So that's 3 fairly consistent performances, and that's something that, Paul, we probably looked at over the last few years that we weren't getting. We were good in one game and not great in the next game. So it's great to see the lads string 3 performances together, and hopefully that continues now, particularly next week against Galway.
Just even looking the last day back to Armagh, like 2-4 after 8 minutes, 2-6 after 13 minutes, 2-9 after 90 minutes. Like really came out of the blocks impressively the last day.
Yeah, big time, man. It was such a joy to watch. I couldn't believe like how much they pressed on them in the first half, particularly in the first 10, 15 minutes. Armagh just looked like they couldn't get out. They looked like they didn't really know what to do. And Roscommon have tried to do that the last couple of games. I've noticed that the forwards are really putting a press on. And probably the new rules allow you to do that, because if you get the turnovers, you really are getting the reward from it. And Roscommon have got the reward with Enda getting the early goal, and they were pressing really, really high. And same with the Kerry defenders. They struggle to get out, and they'd be known for being quite comfortable on the ball. And Roscommon are really getting, I suppose, the reward for pressing up high and going after teams now rather than sitting back.
If you're looking, like you've obviously went between Division 2 and Division 1, how important do you think, from being in your own experience, it is for Roscommon to, I suppose, maintain themselves in Division 1? Is it just going to give them, I suppose, that bit of consistency to push on to the next level?
Yeah, I think so. It is important. Like obviously, we have been yo-yoing up and down the last few years, and that's quite frustrating, I suppose, as a team and as a county as well. But it is huge to be always knocking around the Division 1 teams just to see how, I suppose, they're playing and the level that they're at as well. I think it really sets you up for championship as well. But I think even with, I suppose, a lot of us after stepping away and a few retirements and different things like that, there's a lot of new players around the panel, and there's a lot of new players around the team as well. And I just think it's really, really important for their development to be playing at the top level and playing against these teams week in, week out. Even with the recovery aspect of it, and being able to train, I suppose, on a Tuesday or Wednesday night after a big game, and being able to go the following Saturday again, whether it be a 6-day or 7-day turnaround. So that's a huge learner for the younger lads that are coming into the team nowadays. And it just shows them, I suppose, the last few games that they're well able to play at this level. Roscommon should be at the top table, I think, personally anyways. And it's great for them, their development, and that'll really push them on then for later on in summer as well.
Has it been frustrating when you see, like throughout your career, obviously Galway getting to 2 All-Ireland finals and you've been pretty close to them? Like there's never been more than a kick of a ball really when you've played each other.
I wouldn't say frustrating when you see them, the likes of Galway and Mayo getting to All Ireland finals, because you know the work that they put in, and like both teams have top class players. I suppose the frustrating aspect of it is that we can't get there, and haven't got there, and that's probably the most frustrating part of it. Because when we play Galway and Mayo, and not to put pressure on the lads next week, but we don't fear them. We go down there with confidence, and hoping that we can take them out. And we have done it in previous campaigns, but it just shows that they're able to turn around these results and kind of put consistent performances together then, and beat top teams week in, week out, and beat a top team in a qualifier or whatever it might be, in a quarter final, a semi final, and they're able to push on. Whereas just, I suppose, over the last number of years, we just haven't been able to do that, and that's the more frustrating aspect of it, Paul, rather than seeing Galway or Mayo getting there.
Where do you think you are this year? It's obviously been a good start to British lads to come back in. Like, what do you think is success for Mark Dowd this year?
Definitely to stay in Division 1. I think they have a lot of the hard work done in relation to that, even being on 4 points so early on the league. I think if you told us at the start of the league after 3 games we would be on 4 points, they would have taken their hand off for it. And a lot of teams in Division 1 would have taken their hand off for it, because I suppose, bar Kerry maybe and Donegal, they're always looking to get to a league final, but a lot of the other teams are trying to get safe first and foremost, and then they can start looking the other way up the table, Paul. But I think definitely staying in Division 1 would be a huge success. If we could add a kind of title to that, it'd be very sweet as well, but that's very difficult to do now with the levels that Mayo and Galway have reached. But then I think the ultimate goal will be later on in the championship, seeing if they can get a big win in Croke Park and perhaps push on to a semi-final and final after that in the coming years as well.
It's always, I suppose, everyone looks at that Connacht Championship draw, and it's obviously yourselves and Mayo on one side of the draw this year. That game's obviously always on the back of the mind when the draw comes out.
Yeah, absolutely. You're always looking forward to it, and it's Roscommon's turn to go to New York this year. And it's actually 10 years ago, would you believe, that we were over there last and just got out of it with a 1 point victory. So I think they'll be going over to New York, making sure to get that job done a little bit easier. But I suppose down the line they'll definitely be looking at Mayo in the background as well. We've done it fairly all right with them in the Connacht Championship recently enough. But it's going to be a huge battle, and they're obviously getting a huge bounce off Andy Moran and his management team being there as well. And they're looking quite dangerous in Division 1 as well. So it'll be interesting once they get over that New York game, and then later on in the summer playing against Mayo, hopefully get over that one and set up a tasty one against Galway then.
Mark Dowd's obviously in this year in his first year. From probably people outside of, I suppose, Roscommon, they weren't maybe too aware of him, but he's obviously been involved with a lot of clubs in Roscommon. He seems to have, well, I suppose, first of all, did you think it was important this year? Because I've heard Donny Smith say early on the year that he felt it was important to have a man from Roscommon over Roscommon this year.
Yeah, I think it was an important time to get a Roscommon man in, absolutely. And Mark Dowd would have coached a lot of these lads at underage level and even at club level as well. And he's brought a lot of success no matter where he's went. If you look back through his history, no matter what club he was with, he's brought success, or no matter what underage Roscommon team he was with as well. But I do think it was really, really important for him and for him to get a good management team with him. And he has Ian Daly and John Rogers, who are good Roscommon men and have been around the Roscommon scene a lot as well. And then obviously getting Jason Sherlock, who's, I suppose, a high profile name and has been around in an extremely successive team. So it's huge for him to get a good background team in with him. But it seems like they've just, I don't know, they're obviously getting a bounce off him, but he seems to be giving them just such confidence, and they're all playing with such freedom. And I think that's huge. And it's a really, really important part of management now to have your players playing with a bit of freedom and playing with huge confidence. And that's coming from Mark and his backroom team as well. So I think it's exciting times ahead for them. Just showing how confident they have been in the last few games and how well they've performed as well. And that consistency that I mentioned earlier on as well just shows that they're not just getting one-off performances, that they're kind of backing them up week in, week out. And hopefully I don't jinx them now.
How much of an addition has Sherlock been then?
Yeah, from what I hear, obviously Dermot doesn't give me an awful lot of inside information, but from what I hear from any of the lads, just in brief conversations, it seems like he's a very impressive man. And not just from a drills aspect of it or a coaching aspect for him. It seems to be, he seems to really care about the player and actually the person behind the jersey rather than just seeing them at training. He seems to really care for them and really look out for them. And I suppose you can nearly see it from the way that they're playing. Even the lads that are coming off the bench, or the younger lads that are only new to the panel, they're just playing with huge confidence, and it just seems like that's coming from the sideline. That's what I feel like anyway, to be honest, Paul. But from what I hear, he's meant to be a very, very good coach, but more importantly, he's a very, very good man manager as well. And I think that's very important in today's game as well.
Just even from looking at, I suppose, a couple of the newer faces that have come in this year, Conor Ryan settled well in midfield, Calum Keogh at full back, and then even Darreen in wing forward, and Owen Colleran and Jack Tumulty, who's played as well, and Jack Duggan, Paul Carey as well, getting the goal the last day. Like these fresh faces are really bringing something to it now, aren't they?
Yeah, they are, and I think Roscommon put up a post there recently enough that there was 10 debutants already this season, which is huge. And these lads are playing really, really well now, and it's kind of like they're integrating into the team seamlessly. Dara Heenan, I think, has been really, really impressive in the league so far, and even in the FBD league as well. He had a great club championship as well. The last few club championships, he's been very good. He's just so dangerous, so hard to mark, and the speed of him, Paul. I don't know if you can see it on the telly, but Jesus, he's racking up huge numbers on GPS and stuff like that. And he was on the panel before with me as well, and his speed is frightening. But other lads that you mentioned as well, like Dowd are playing wing back, Kerry coming on, who was been around the panel a few times, Conor Ryan, who had a great club campaign with Pierce's as well. But they just seem like they're playing with campaigns, carrying that into the county team now, and they're getting their chance, but they're actually taking their chance as well, which is huge. And then obviously Colleran and Tumilty as well, who were playing with Pierce's. They were excellent throughout the summer, like really, really hard to mark. And then Tumilty obviously went on and had a great campaign with DCU as well. Them lads are probably disappointed that they didn't get more minutes in the last few games, but I suppose that just shows the competition that's there as well, which is great to see, and I'm delighted to see all these young lads breaking through.
In fairness, it's probably what makes people very excited for Saturday evening now in Pearse Stadium, because for Galway it's nearly been the exact same case of, I suppose, club players carrying their form into the league as well for Galway.
Yeah, absolutely. And even looking back at the last few games, I wasn't overly impressed with Galway in the first half of the two other games that I watched in-depthly, but then in the second half they were so impressive. And I suppose that's the dangerous thing for Roscommon now heading down to Pearse Stadium, is if Galway actually get a complete performance or even play for longer than 35 minutes, like they're going to be so dangerous. But as you said, some of their players that obviously had good campaigns in the Galway Championship seem to be really coming into their own now, and they're getting a chance as well with the injuries that Galway have at the moment. But like I said, with Roscommon, they're coming in now and they're taking their chance as well, which is huge for Galway.
It's hard in one sense for Roscommon to plan, isn't it, this weekend? Like, because you see Naomi McGrath was in goals the last day, Dylan McHugh only comes on, Liam Silk and Sean Fitzgerald weren't there. Like, not many people could have predicted that team to play against Kerry, just given some of the injuries Galway had.
Yeah, and it's a surprise because I don't know. I was trying to figure out who'd be the different man markers and stuff this weekend. It's actually very difficult to figure out with injuries and stuff like that. Even see like Liam Silk getting injured in the warm up, like he would have been one that Galway probably would have pinpointed for Enda Smith a lot of the time, or in the last number of years, and maybe again this weekend if he is playing, he could be on him. Yeah, and then like you're like say Cian Darcy and Sean Fitzgerald, as you mentioned, Walsh, Comer, Killian McDade. Like I don't know if these lads are going to be playing this weekend. Maybe you'll be able to let me know, Paul, and I can tell the rest of the lads. But the thing that really is going to be interesting for me is the matchups that Galway go with, because they changed them up against Kerry. Obviously, they went with Kelly on Clifford at the start, but then Joyce obviously realised at halftime that they had to go for the game, and they pushed him further out the pitch and put Cian Hernan back. So it'll be interesting now to see who picks up Roscommon's key men. Like obviously Dermot, Dara, and Enda have been doing really well. So I'm going to be intrigued to see who picks up the three of them first and foremost. But then you have other lads now that need to be picked up. Like Dylan Rowan is getting huge possessions for Roscommon. Dara Heenan obviously lightning pace. So it's going to be really interesting, Paul, to see who matches up with who. So that's something I'm really going to be looking out for at the start of the game. I know.
Who do you feel goes under the radar for Galway?
Matthew Tierney.
Yeah.
I think that's a crucial matchup. I think he's been very good for Galway for a number of years now, to be honest. And without him the last day, particularly against Kerry, there's no way they would have came back. Even in the first half, the scores that he got and the goal that he got, he's just drifting by players, and he seems to be getting goals now just at ease. He's definitely someone we would have always pinpointed as a important player for Galway, and he probably kind of goes under the radar, I think, but I think he's an exceptional player. It just everything looks so easy for him, and as I said, he's getting scores very easily. And without him the last day, I don't think they would have came back now.
How do you see Galway at the minute, Ciaráin? Because obviously Damien Comer's obviously struggled with injury over the last few years. Shane Walsh is beginning to pick up some niggles now along the way. Do you think they nearly need to have a plan maybe of Matthew Tierney or is it Paul Conroy or someone like that who maybe goes inside just with, I suppose, the injuries they have had over the last few years?
Yeah, the way I see Galway at the moment is they're still a huge threat, and they're absolutely going to be All Ireland contenders, I think. And as I said, I wasn't overly impressed with them in the first half of their games, but they've been excellent in the second half. And I suppose that's the frightening thing is that if they're able to, I suppose, get longer performances in games, how good can they actually be? And they're playing these games with a lot of their main players or a lot of their players that people would have known over the last number of years. They're playing without them. And it seems like lads are just coming into the team and getting the job done for them as well. I don't think Porrick Joyce will be overly concerned that he's missing some of these players throughout the league. I think in long term he'll be looking at championship and he'll be looking to win the All Ireland, obviously. But I tell you, the way they're playing at the moment, if they can keep all these players flying it and then get the lads that we mentioned that are injured back into the team, it's going to be a serious panel of 26 players come championship.
Were you surprised by Paul Conroy's return this year?
No, I wasn't overly surprised. Like he's obviously been a warrior for Galway for a long time now, and just the longevity of his career, it's a credit to him. And he's been like consistently performing at the high level as well. It's not as if he's coming for cameo roles or anything like that. He's always there, and he's first man on the team sheet, I'd say, for Porrick Joyce. But it's great to see him back in. You obviously want to be playing against the best players when you're playing. But when you're watching games as well, like when you're watching Galway, you want to see the likes of Paul Conroy playing. You want to see Damien Comer, Shane Walsh, all these lads, because they're really, really exciting players, you know. And from even I suppose watching them, you just want to be watching all these players playing at the top of their game and just seeing how good they can be, you know.
In terms of this weekend, then it's with the way the game is on Saturday evening now, whoever wins this has a real chance of progressing into a league final, and you have to think whoever comes out on top here Saturday night will be targeting that.
I think so, yeah. And as I said earlier on in the podcast, Paul, I think the first thing and foremost is to get safe, and then you can start looking up the table. But these three games, most teams will target, the 3 game block, and you'll be trying to pick up as many points as you can, and it's kind of moving time. You can nearly, after these 3 games, you'll see who's heading for the top and who's battling relegation. But I think if Roscommon win this weekend, they're on 6 points. Definitely pick up another win or two, then you're heading for a league final, I think. But Kerry and Donegal are going to be very hard stopped, to be honest. And I suppose they're kind of the front runners at the moment. But whoever wins this game this weekend, I think will be chasing them, and they'll definitely be excited about the remaining games and trying to push on for a final then.
In terms of this rivalry between Galway and Roscommon, what's it like to be involved in?
I think it's a healthy rivalry, to be honest. I always enjoyed playing Galway. You always know you're going to get a good game, and a lot of them ended up in shootouts as well. I know the last few meetings were fairly low scoring, but that was with the old rules and winter football as well. But championship games and even our league final in Croke Park a few years ago, like they turned into a shootout. 2017 as well, the one that we won as well, nearly turned into a shootout. So they're always fairly exciting games. There's a bit of niggle there. There's a bit of niggle in the crowd as well, which is no harm. But I'd expect a really, really big crowd down in Pearse Stadium this weekend, because both teams are going relatively well. But the rivalry was always nice to be part of, Paul, I think. It kind of shows that, I suppose, they had a bit of respect for us as well, that we were performing at a fairly all right level. We played against each other a lot at underage as well. And, we were winning games, they were winning games. Obviously, Galway have done a good few in a row now with Connacht titles, but and then pushed on into All Ireland finals and stuff like that. So I suppose we're striving to be as good as them in championship as well. But as I said earlier on, Roscommon will be going down with huge confidence and will fancy turning over Galway as well.
Who did you find a tough opponent when you play Galway?
All of them are fairly good, to be honest. Dylan McHugh, I suppose I would have came across him a few times. Johnny McGrath and these lads at the back, Johnny Glynn as well. They're just very tenacious defenders, and they kind of seem like they're out and out defenders. They just love it. But always Galway, I think, always had good defenders, and they're always very tactically aware as well. And that's obviously down to Porrick and his management team as well. So they're very, very difficult to break down. But I always liked the way they played the game. They just kind of got on with it. There was no sledging or any that sort of stuff going on. They just played the game they played it tough, played it fair, and they played the game the right way, I think. So I have a lot of respect for Galway over the last number of years, to be honest.
It's the way probably the game is at the minute, and you expect it to go down to the wire on Saturday night. But the kick out, it's just enormous now, isn't it? Like even you see Galway Kerry the last night when Kerry dominated at the start, then Galway went on to dominate it. They're just such momentum shifts in today's game now, aren't they?
Yeah, they are, and even going back to the Galway game or the Roscommon game against Armagh there at the weekend, like there was a huge shift in the first half. Roscommon were just seemed to be winning everything, and then momentum just fully changed in the second half. And I think it was 12 or 13 in a row that Armagh won, and it's just so hard to break that momentum because, as you said, a lot of them are just they're belted out into a pod, and obviously you're trying to set up different pods, and you have different tactics and stuff on these kickouts, but it's so hard to break that momentum. And I think teams are really going to have to start looking at the option of going short or even the kind of mid-range kickouts as well. Just to even try and break that momentum within, like, if a team wins 6 or 7 in a row, that you're able to get one short and try and work a score or something. Because I suppose you just can't keep belting it out and hoping for the best. Because against the top teams and coming later on in the summer, they're just going to punish you with 2 pointers or goals or whatever it might be. And especially with the 11 back now, it seems to be a little bit easier to get a score. So you're wide open if you're not winning your kick out, to be honest.
Are they nearly turning into probably what we had a few years ago, of I suppose those overloads around the middle now?
Yeah, there's a lot of that. There is a lot of that, and I suppose the game is nearly being made for having a lot of big men around there. But obviously having smart men around there that can pick up breaks as well. And teams are doing a lot of work on kickouts, I say, even though it looks like they're just being banged down long. They still will be trying to arrange and lads in that pod and seeing what they're doing, and hopefully you can break it a way to favour your players and different things like that. But I think there's going to be a lot more analysis on it, a lot more coaching on it, Paul, even just after the last few league games and stuff like that. You can just even see it in the media that there's more talk about it, there's more analysis. So I think the smart managers and the smart coaches are going to figure out ways of beating this as well. And I was always a bit fan of kind of the mid-range ones as well, the mid-range kickouts where you're just kind of getting over the full forward line and maybe hitting your half back line. And it was just, I don't know, there was a bit of excitement there where there's a little bit of a chance in the kick out. But look, that's the rules that are there now. So teams are just going to have to get on with it and think up of a way of trying to beat it, I suppose.
The new rules have obviously been brilliant, and like football's obviously a lot more watchable at the minute. But do you think there's any flaws in it at the minute?
Um, Yeah, the breach can be a little bit annoying. I know some managers that have given out about it and different things, but it's great when it goes your way. Like it obviously went Roscommon's way at the weekend, and Armagh did have a breach, but it can be a little bit frustrating. Even I've seen it myself in the club championship when it goes against you. It's a big sucker punch. Um, the other one, the handing the ball back, I'm
Mhm.
not fully convinced. And now I totally understand the idea behind it, but it's a very hard thing to do. Maybe I suppose if you could just leave the ball there, or if you don't actually deliberately throw it away, that the ball isn't brought up. But again, Roscommon, I suppose, got the benefits of that against Kerry. But teams are going to get smarter in relation to these. Like refs need to be a little bit cuter on it. Like, I do think Roscommon deserved the one against Roscommon or against Kerry, to be honest. Even though it looked like Breen was being very innocent, but there are players that are just knocking it out with their hands on purpose and getting the 2 pointers. We actually got a couple of them in the club championship as well, and you're delighted when you get it. But I think refs need to be a little bit more like just a little bit smarter on it, and a little bit more lenient as well, because it's a very very difficult thing to do to hand the ball back. First of all, after giving away a free, and you're probably fuming with the ref, and then having to give the ball back to a player and let him, I suppose, take the solo and go. Then it's a very hard thing to do. But there's a lot of positives, like the 2 pointer. I think is making games so much more enjoyable to watch, even as a neutral. You'd be watching random games now because it's going to be fairly high scoring, or a fella might bang over some 2 pointers. And the solo and goal one, I think, Paul, is probably my favorite one. I used to hate the time taken over frees and different things like that. So, and even I suppose the gamesmanship of lads lying down pretending to be injured and different things like that, that seems to be gone out of the game because even their teammates are just grabbing the ball off them and running on with solo and go. So there's been a lot of positives, but I think there are a few that we could just tweak a little bit.
You mentioned there earlier on, obviously, that you're probably expecting Roscommon to win this weekend, but looking at the game
They
on,
expecting.
but looking at the game on Saturday between Roscommon and Galway, do you think we can get a real cracker here?
I think so. Yeah, I do absolutely. I think both sets of forward are kind of playing with confidence. It'll probably be a little bit of a wind into one end, I'd imagine, down in Pearse Stadium. So hopefully we'll see plenty of 2-pointers as well. But it's going to be an intriguing game, and as I mentioned earlier on, I think the matchups will be really, really intriguing to see who goes on who, and just seeing, will Galway stick to the tactic of what they did against Kerry in the second half of pushing out on men, or will they sit back and I suppose kind of defend the arc, and that will obviously be weather dependent as well. But it was just interesting to see the way that they could actually switch that tactic at halftime and really, really push out and go after Kerry. So it'll be interesting to see what they do against Roscommon. Will they? I suppose Roscommon have been getting a few goals in the last few games. Will they try and cut that out? Will they try and block our 2-pointers? Will Galway just have the confidence to just go man on man with Roscommon? So yeah, there's a lot of different things that you could talk about, but it will be intriguing to see how they all set up and what way Galway go after this game. But I didn't say that I'm confident we'll win. As I said, I think Roscommon will go down there with the confidence to win, but that doesn't necessarily always work out in your favour.
Is it from that day you've had in Pearse Stadium that, I suppose, unfortunately for Galway fans, we all remember that day in the rain, I suppose, where you did turn them over in the Connacht final, but does that nearly give you a bit of confidence now when you have to go to Pearse Stadium?
Yeah, it probably did. I suppose we got hammered the year before, actually, in the Connacht final. It actually went to a replay in McHale Park and Galway hammered us. And I suppose then to go down and be totally written off that time in 2017, it did give us a bit of confidence, to be honest, Paul. And a lot of that panel are kind of still there as well. But yeah, it probably did give us that confidence. And even in the last few league games as well, picking up results against them. And I suppose the league final up in the Division 2 league final in Croke Park as well. So yeah, there would be confidence there, but obviously you have to be very, very wary, and give Galway the respect that they deserve as well. We don't have a divine right going down to Pearse Stadium, even though 2017, 2019 as well when they won it. But that doesn't give you a divine right to go down to Pearse Stadium and turn over Galway, who are a very, very good team with a lot of good players. But as I said, just after the last 3 games, Roscommon will have a bit more confidence, I suppose, in this league campaign. But I imagine Galway will as well, the way they were able to claw back their last 2 games as well.
Is there an itch now for yourself, Ciaráin, to get into coaching?
I think so. Yeah, there is a bit of an itch. I'm a primary school teacher, so I do a small bit of coaching at school and really, really enjoy it as well. I'm still playing with my club at home, but yeah, absolutely. If the right opportunity arises, Paul, I hope to get into coaching. Definitely down the line, it's something that I've a huge interest in. Hopefully, I'll be a good one, I suppose, with a little bit of experience I have playing at quite a high level. But yeah, I like analysing the game. I like looking out at how different teams set up. But in particular, I like seeing how to actually break down how other teams are set up as well. So hopefully down the line, Paul, I'll get into coaching, yeah.
Great stuff, Ciaráin. Thanks very much for your time this evening.
No problem.